was cold and the rain was drizzling, that he had stomach cramps and he felt the need to keep himself warm. And as he progressed through the race, he started feeling better, and he just got into the race and didn't remember to take the shirt off.
Why is that important? Is that just a rule, or why would that be something that?
Well, that's one of the gray areas. The reason for the bib is several. For example, in Boston, the reason you have to show your bib is for the terrorist issue. The other one is for bandits who would just jump in a race and start running and finish across the finish line. And then lastly, it's so that your competitors know that you're competing with them. Now, they knew each other. Well, they didn't know each other as friends, but they both were elite athletes that we invited in. They both took advantage of the hospitality suite we had at another hotel for them for 2 days. They warmed up together. They went to an RTA cover to take off their sweats, put them in a bag, and brought them to the elite athlete's van. And we checked the mats, the chip mats throughout the course, and they were always within 30 seconds or a minute apart. So he knew he was behind him. He knew he was there. And I just think that Mesfun ran a more deliberate race, more calculated race. Also, at 21 miles, our spotters were sending word to us that Tarek was losing it, they felt. They felt that he was cramping up a bit and his stride was off, and that he was checking behind him back then. And that's usually a sign of a guy who's fading. And I think that Mesfun just calculated it and knew exactly when to make his move. I clearly believe, you know, you can't get into someone's head, but I clearly believe there was no intent to deceive. There's no trickery here.
You talk about gray areas, Jack. Are there things you have to tighten up to make sure those gray areas are clear to all the runners?
Well, the gray area mostly with facts. You know, they were right aware of it. I think that, you know, I think that maybe we have to be a little more disciplined. Look, part of it, this is really between just 2 runners and us. You know, the other 15,000 runners have opinions, but this has nothing to do with them directly. When something like this happens, I'm inclined to always take a little blame. And you know, if you asked me to define it, I couldn't. But something had to happen on our part, and we'll assess it like we assess everything about the race. And I can't say it'll never happen again, but it's not going to happen in the near term. You know, some of you may remember we had to disqualify a runner back in the 90s. That was a clear violation, and I think some of you may have been there. So we'll take the investigation was great for us. It was, I hate to use the word investigation, but the review was great for us. We got to see some of our policies, which I think are sound, but I think that maybe they could be tightened up a little bit. To be precise, I couldn't give you the exact thing now.
No, excuse me for not knowing the answer to this already, but
it's okay.
Do they get more than bragging rights?
Yes,
when
prize money.
Okay, okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And Mesfun will also get a bonus for running under 220. To win and under 220 to win and run under 220 is another $3,000.
So what's the total that he gets?
He'll get $6,000.
Okay. Have you talked to the other runner, Mr. Terror?
I did not. John Tope, our lead coordinator, who knows them or works with them, he spoke with him.
What was his reaction to the decision?
As I said, he admitted that he could never catch him, and he withdrew his complaint. So that was his reaction. He has a high level of integrity. You know, he came straight from Kenya here on Thursday night. So, you know, I can't say enough about him for being so honest. Now, for next year, I think we're going to have some exciting tools here. I want some of you to know that I had calls from around the world. Today I spoke to a member of the United States Track and Field Federation, who's head of the road race policy technique, and he was in Paris, and he said that's all they were talking about. He had been in London and Denmark, and they picked it up on the wire. And so I think that next year, if both of them come back, I think Cleveland's going to have a lot of attention. I got a call last night from a friend in San Diego asking questions, and everybody wants to give you advice. And he had heard about it from some of the runners from Kenya. So this has hit the public fairly well, And I think we'll turn that into a real benefit next year. Both these guys say they'll come back, so we'll see.
Okay.
Just to clarify, where did the complaints come from, the original complaints?
From the second place runner, someone, I don't know what stimulated it, but he was the one versing it, the second place runner.
But then he withdrew it.
Yes, he withdrew it, and I think when he was, this is just my surmising, I think when he realized that he couldn't catch him, he realized it was a wasted thing to file a complaint. And then if he didn't, you know, the system is such that if he hadn't withdrawn and we found in favor of Mesfun, he could have filed an appeal, but that's not something they want to do. This ended very amicably.